Reintegration is defined by Merriam-Webster as a restoration to unity. But what does that look like for people who have experienced life behind bars? Through the lives of Stephen Taylor, a second-year Master of Divinity student at Candler School of Theology, and Nikki Roberts, a student supportive associate, we will follow the journey and see what it feels like to be an active participant in the reintegration process.
I am Stephen Taylor. I'm a second-year MDiv student here at Candler School of Theology. I was born and raised here in Atlanta, in particular Marietta, if you want to get really particular. I had a wonderful family I was born to, mom and dad, an older brother, and I've lived here most of my life. When I went to prison, I was married, divorced, recently divorced, and I had 2 kids. I was 34 when I went to prison. I was 39 when I came out of prison.
My name is Nikki Roberts. I am from Miami, Florida. I was just about to turn 30 years old when I went into the system, October 28, 2004, and I was 39 years old, just about to turn 40 when I exited the system, October 28, 2014.
What do the realities of prison look like?
You want the good, the bad, or the ugly?
All of it.
All of it. The good, you're exposed to different cultures that you typically would not be exposed to on the street.
So the good of prison would have to be the solitary confinement or confinement when you are able to choose to use that space in a positive way.
The bad, you are exposed to many different attitudes, fearful attitudes, negative attitudes.
Bad about prison, deal about prison is that, number one, it's not rehabilitative. It's a building with, torturesome locks and sounds and processes that do nothing in the way of treatment or help or assistance for what psychologists call damaged human beings, criminals, lawbreakers, people with substance abuse, murderers. And so it's a system that, unless you're just holding humans, flesh-peddling humans, moving humans from one chamber that's locked to another, to me, prison is completely useless.
The ugly, you can see the worst that human beings can be.
What's ugly about prison is that society begins to immediately devalue a human being. Once an adult is incarcerated, they become devalued as humans. They become dehumanized, and an inmate no longer gets an opportunity to be assessed as a human being. They become an inmate, which society doesn't say, but it becomes like this parentheses clause of non-human.
Tell us what that first day was like when you entered.
So the first day that I entered prison, it was a very shocking experience that involved a lot of stripping. You stripped physically of all clothes, you stripped of all possessions, you stripped of the right, as I was told, to be acknowledged by your first name, only to be called by your last name. You were stripped yourself of any type of, as a woman, any type of femininity. Women, if they had shoulder-length hair, it had to be pulled off their shoulders. Were not allowed to wear makeup, weren't allowed to, at the time of entrance. There were a lot of identity issues that happened. If you had your hair locked, your head was shaved or cut down to a very, very, very low, very closely cut to your scalp. And I just noticed, women that I saw from the county jail going into prison, it was just an immediate, it was just this bare bones. I think you're already low in possession, low in so many different regards in the county jail level, but then to go into the prison system where you're further stripped and to not even have an opportunity to wear your hair in a a way that may have had a religious tie or some type of deeper meaning, to lose that ability, to lose the ability to have eye contact and to lose your voice. In prison, you have to ask permission to speak. It's paramilitary. So to me, to lose your voice, to lose eye contact, to lose an ability to converse puts you immediately on the level of as an animal.
You know, your first day when you walk in, you check in, you know, you get strip search. And they give you a ID, got your name on it, and got your number on it underneath it. They rip that off and say you're no longer Stephen, or you're no longer Mr. Taylor, you are this number. So a mail call, when they call, they won't call you by your name, they call you by the number. So for 5 years you hear that. You hear that. And it's just like, where's Stephen? Where's the name? The most shocking experience was I was in the kitchen at the prison. And depending on who the CEO, the corrections officer is in charge, you were patted down or you may not be. The kitchen is a focal point for contraband. You can make money. In other words, you have access to good food. Because the people who work in the kitchen, you prepare food for the staff and the inmates. Or the people who work in the kitchen are able to eat the good food. The inmates eat the expired food, all that kind of stuff. For example, I had one box of meat that came in that was expired in 2002. And I'm eating food, I was in prison in 2007, so it was already expired 5 years. But the most shocking experience was they were just suspected, a guy that was suspected to have contraband. He was forcibly pulled out of the kitchen and strip searched in front of everybody. And when they strip search, they probe you in every aspect you could think of.
After dealing with this whirlwind experience, how does the prison help to set former inmates up for life after prison?
The day I walked out of prison, it was 3 a.m. and a Tuesday morning, and they drove me to the airport at West Virginia, Morgantown. And here it is, for 5 years I have not been out of that prison, and I've been exposed to life, public, really like shocked. See magazines, you know, it's like, I can get this stuff. And when I got on that plane, I felt so different. I remember somebody sitting next to me, but they didn't judge me. I wore regular gray sweatpants, and you couldn't tell. But in my mind, I was an inmate. I'm still a felon. I'm still a lesser than human being. But these people, flight attendant, hey, can I help you? Can I, like, wait, nobody asked me to help me for 5 years. So it was a very eye-opening, shocking experience. There was nothing that could have prepared me for that first day coming out.
So for me, I had a certain skill set from previous employment before going into prison. But while there, I can say I learned labor oriented jobs, like I learned how to wax floors and lay wax and buff floors, where people were learning soft skills and learning how to maybe type on a dummy keyboard because we didn't have access to the internet or a computer. Computer skills, soft skills, certain skills, those were my strong points. That's what I came into the system with. But I also found that I had a place in education that I never knew. I never taught adults or children before going into prison, and I found myself qualifying to be a teacher's aide while in prison, and worked in the education system, which allowed me an opportunity to foster some skills into being in a position I'd never done before. And it sort of provided a bridge for me as I currently work in adult basic education, and as I've also taught children since I've been released from prison.
It has been said that the love of a family is life's greatest blessing. Let's see what role family played in our interviewees' prison experience.
I could call them and request for them to send me a book or anything, and they would send it to me. My family came to visit me at least every 6 months, and I spoke with them on the phone every single week. Spoke to my kids about every other night. So I had that very strong family support, and without the family support, I don't think I could have had a successful reintegration.
I still got depressed over siblings that did not show up or did not, it wasn't for me ever the issue of the money, it was the presence. And a lot of it was very relative in my life, the voids, because I just saw so many that didn't have any support at all. And I just think that's a human lesson, that sometimes we complain about things that other people pray for or wish for.
Throughout this experience, where was God in this?
So my relationship with God went through many different levels of intimacy, I would say, from being a stranger to being my lover. And so as a preacher's kid, I'm the daughter of a Pentecostal pastor in Miami. I often say that I grew up in church, but then I later grew up in God, and those are two totally different experiences. So my growing up in God part, which again speaks to the relational piece, was that I went to church, but I had no relationship. And when the trials of that whole situation, and trials you can put in quotes because that looked like many different things during my 10-year sentence, when they intensified, I attempted suicide, and it showed me immediately that I had no hope. I had no root in this God I believe in this God that I believe can redeem any and all, and this God I was taught and heard so many sermons that did not have a root. I was dark. I was dark within. I had no hope. And thank God the suicide attempt was not successful. Thank God for the people that did speak hope back into my life. People like Kelly Gissendaner, people like the chaplains that were around me at the time, Chaplain Susan Bishop, people that in a very dark place where in prison it is not uncommon to say, I want to kill myself, and someone say, do it.
Well, the first week, I got a Bible in the mail. I don't know where it came from. To this day, I still don't know where it came from. But it's me. And I read that from cover to cover. And from that day forward, my relationship grew and grew. I got with God.
Where did Stephen's Bible come from? Oh, maybe it was the chaplains.
Well, the chaplains, they're not helpful at all.
Or
they
not.
are mostly employees of the facility. They don't really care about your well-being. They're useless.
But there has got to be something the church can do to help reintegrate prisoners.
How can the church prepare for persons who are re-entering the community?
That's a good question. The church can do a lot to prepare. First of all, in all likelihood, that inmate probably has family in a church. If the family reach out to the church and say, hey, John Doe is coming home tomorrow, the church should easily have a job lined up. The church should easily be a welcoming presence for that person. Welcome them at home. Welcome them into the community. Let the people of the community see them as a human being, not a former inmate, not a felon, whatever term you want to use. Let them see that people are going to accept them. And the third and final thing, be a positive influence for that person. It's very easy when you come out of prison to just say, you know what, I had free room and board, I had no concerns, I could sleep all day, I could do whatever I want, and I'm here, I have all these responsibilities. I think I'll go back. The church will play a role in that.
We had an opportunity to sit down with Don Shannon, appointed pastor to Brookhaven United Methodist Church.
My name is Don Shannon. I am a licensed local pastor appointed to Brookhaven United Methodist Church in Atlanta, Georgia. The main ministry of our church is, the title of it is the Recovery Ministry, and we try to help people who are in the process of recovery from drug abuse, who are drug addicts, who are in some form of recovery program. They live in, for the most part, our people that we serve live, or they're disadvantaged people. They're kind of on one rung up the ladder from homeless. Many of them come out of the criminal justice system, but all of them are drug addicts, and they have no resources. So we try to be a spiritual and in some cases a source of help, like clothing and medicine and things of that nature. And we do it in a lot of different ways, from a clothes closet to socializing and Saturday night dinner and bingo, and we offer a church service during that activity with it's a service of Thanksgiving. We offer Holy Communion. We may have 90 men and women. The vast majority are unchurched. Almost all take Holy Communion. It's in a way, it's amazing to watch. Right? And I think it's indicative of society in general. I believe all people are searching, looking. Okay. And we try to help these people to find a source of real life through opening up their eyes, at least, to the redemptive purpose of Christ.
Another organization is Reforming Arts.
A little of my backstory is that I always loved the arts, so this piqued an interest of mine immediately, making a tie of some outside interest. And so while being involved in the Reforming Arts, it was a great connection to my own need for therapy. I found the arts to be very cathartic. I found myself beginning to tell parts of my story within certain theatrical elements and that we would do as mere exercises. I was using that as a personal space to really delineate everything I was going through and as therapy.
Wholeness can be interpreted in many different ways.
So I would say wholeness is something very similar to how we look at success. That it is not a destination, it is not a thing. It's an ongoing process. I believe I'm a little bit more whole today than I was yesterday. I believe there's another little nugget added in, and it's only by choice and by a deliberate, intentional, decision to say, I'm going to be better. Whatever broke me, whatever is breaking me, or whatever has the potential to break me, I also have the power to heal. I have the power to become more whole.
Today I see myself as whole, as much as I can be. I recognize we're all imperfect. We all have issues. Ultimately, we all have a special need. We all have this need for a relationship with God. And what that looks like is defined differently for each of us. And I think my call to ministry is the special needs ministry. It's that ministry where people in that community have heard this message: you're broken, you're different, you don't belong here, you can't belong here, you don't understand, you can't comprehend, all this negative stuff. And it creates a community of people saying, why should I go to church? Why should I care about God? God doesn't care about me, why should I have anything to do with God? But my call is to change the perception of the church onto that community, and as well as society. We need to change our definition of wholeness. We need to change our definition of perfection.
Because wholeness also represents perfection to me. And I've yet to meet a perfect person, bond or free. educated or uneducated, up the socioeconomic scale or down. So wholeness to me is just this, it's an ongoing intentional process.
Who knows? Our definition of perfection may be completely different from what God says. We say perfect is something without blemish, but God may define perfection as with blemish. Who knows?
A final word of wisdom.
Reentry begins inside of prison, not when you come out of that door. It's too late. It's never too late to get on the right track, but it is too late to think that that moment to begin reentry will be a successful moment. It begins inside, and that is why the outside programming, the chaplaincy, the curriculum for the prison to college pipeline that we speak so much about now, with the Pell Grants returning to prison, that's why it's so important. It is a preparation for re-entering society that is severe at this point of mass incarceration being an epidemic. It's an epidemic. We're dealing with some serious numbers that says restorative justice means me, you, everybody. But you've got to be ready for it. People can't welcome in an inmate. They need to be welcoming in to society a returning citizen.